if you said we're not Zulu, right? Go study the 5 or 6 main tribes that were taken into captivity around the time Islam entered into Africa as well as the Catholic Church, right? What is their main DNA haplogroup? E1B1A. So like there are Africans that are not you. That is a fact that don't share the same lineage, but there's a whole West Coast of people who do share the same lineage. And that's the thing. When we start making disparaging remarks towards other black people and making that like, you know what I mean? It's just weird because from afar, nobody can tell the difference. Now, you don't have to love every single other black person. And yeah, you can think highly about yourself and stuff like that. But it's to the point where we're kind of alienating ourselves from doing business and forming community with other black people who do have things to offer and who do want to do business with black people and have the intelligence, the capability, you know what I mean, the monetary resources to do business with African Americans. So it's like although I do agree, can you just mute your mic light for just a second? You about to get the mic. Self-control is a virtue. Please. I'm trying to learn it too. Y'all men. So the fact of the matter is that it's the weird comparisons because the reality of it is that as much things that have gone on in America as well, the other places in the world are still going through their own levels of colonization. Your case is extremely unique due to chattel slavery, right? And the 400 years or so in this land where you had to deal with systemic oppression and racism. But it's not the only case, right? We have Brazil that has a very strict racial structure. We even have places like India with a caste system where their darker skinned people are literally at the bottom. It's not to say that it's not, you know what I mean? So it's just like we have to kind of like, the moral of the story is that the way to circumvent the oppressor is for all melanated people around the world to realize their power and that they're more similar than they are different. It's not that you aren't great. You are great, but it's just weird to be like we're the best, we're the smartest, we're this and this. All black is beautiful, man. All black is beautiful, and there's a lot of intelligent black people in Africa, in South America, in Asia as well. Very beautiful races as well. So I mean, we're all beautiful, we're all smart, and we all need to work together to circumvent the real problem, which is the Go ahead, life. Yeah, go ahead. Sure, it's sure.
Yeah, no matter come to it. So you live in Africa, right? So when you go to the village and that, right, in Africa, yeah, do you people identify themselves as black, or they say you're just a man or a woman? Answer the question.
He's a man or a woman, because everyone out there is the same color.
He was asking Melissa, not you. He was asking Melissa.
Wait, what'd you say? I didn't hear that last time.
You don't live in America right now, right? So
I'm in America, right?
Okay, so but you live in Africa also, yeah?
Yes, I do.
Correct.
Yes, I do.
Right, okay. All right, okay. So when you go to Africa, yeah, do you say I'm a black woman, I'm a black American woman? Do you say that to people there or no?
No, it's only American. There's no black identity of blackness over there.
Right, okay. Okay, point proven it. Cool.
Here's where I was trying to go. Here's where I was trying to go. I'm moving very. So this is where I was trying to go to, and I wasn't trying to turn it into controversy. So every group of people have a uniqueness that should be celebrated, and they do celebrate it because I love. When I went to Senegal in '96, I had a good time over there. I love the culture. I spent time in Ghana. Like, got some friends over there, right? I'm still friends with them to this day, and I love them just the way they are, the uniqueness, all the beautiful things that are part of their language, their family traditions. I love it, and I love that it's authentic to them. I love Brazil. Brazil have a unique Afrocentric, African connection to their history. Very different. Jamaica, very different than Barbados or whatever. All these uniqueness are, while we are all one people, there's a uniqueness that we recognize and respect and celebrate, right? When I go to Jamaica, I don't go to Jamaica looking to be a black American. I want the Jamaican experience. That's a whole nother language, another way of rhythm, movement, cooking food. You know, the way they laugh and joke, the way they talk to each other is that uniqueness. So what I'm saying is because we were descendants of slaves who set up a plantation, we have a uniqueness over here as well too, right? And we try to celebrate that every year with our food, our language, our nuances. That distinguishes us from all these other groups, which gives us a culture, distinction, right? Not better, right? But inclusive, right? Because in Charleston, where I'm from, we speak a certain dialect that sounds so similar to the Barbados patois, right? So the New Orleans, what's up, baby? Everybody has a uniqueness that they celebrate, right? So when I said that about Black Americans have a unique.
Not place. Is it South America?
Yeah, South Carolina. But listen, yeah, South.
So you know that South.
But let me finish. So what I'm saying, I didn't present this to be in competition with South Africans or Black Britain. This not a no. Listen, I'm telling you what I'm doing now. So don't tell me what I'm doing. I'm telling you what I'm doing. What I'm doing is actually celebrating. I'm celebrating uniqueness. So when I thought about the uniqueness.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
You don't know it.
Right, Norwood.
Has roots that.
Let it go because it's not that serious. He had a question, he was interested in it, and he was just trying to figure out. And I get what you're.
A perfect being.
Yeah, I agree. But there was no evil in the world when God created it. It was perfect, bro. What are you talking about? You don't understand the God.
I mean, the point is that there's evil in the world, and he's omnipotent, right? He's all powerful. So time is irrelevant. Doesn't matter what time it is in the world, right? Evil existing at any time in the world is unexpected.
No, you taking too much on yourself. No, you getting like into realms that you don't need to be getting into.
Okay, well, do you think that the cake from the perfect cake baker is gonna tomorrow is gonna part of it's gonna turn into fecal matter or something?
No, that's not.
Right?
You went on the sorry side of this.
So Jimmy got herpes from him too. Oh God, no, Jimmy can't stand motherfucking people did it because he was.
Came in from us. That's what the problem. It didn't come from God. It came from us. Okay? I don't think.
Okay, were we perfect?
Yes, we were.
Okay, then why did a problem come from us if we were perfect?
You don't want to say that, Stone.
What do you mean? Andrew. Okay, Andrew, you are.
Don't say that.
Everything God's only
Blasphemy.
Don't say God created everything.
Blasphemy.
That's exactly what I said.
good. He didn't say that we were perfect.
Let's just say, like, I understand what he's saying, Andrew. When he says perfect, he means, like, without flaw. That's, like, without evil. Let's just say without evil. Like, there was no evil in the world.
That's fine.
I get that's how I'm reading it. But the point is that, like, the point is that if we were good, you're saying, like, well, look, evil showed up because of us, but you're saying, like, we were very, very good. So why did evil show up because of us?
Again, why are people trying to say tell me or say what I'm saying? What I'm saying is what I said. That we were created perfect, right?
And where did evil come from then?
I'll answer that. So, well, first of all, the question of evil that's a whole nother topic. But
That's what we're talking about. It's the problem of evil. What do you mean? That's the whole argument.
No, that's a whole nother.
Yes, that is what we are talking about right now.
So let me stop you if you said it for the sake. Listen, the whole thing about evil, let's put a pin in that. Let's table that for a couple hours. We're gonna come back to it.
The argument is called the problem of evil. Like, remember the whole, like, cake thing I said, and the fecal matter is the evil, and how the
favorite things I've heard from you, Stone. That was awesome, bro.
You're like, bro, when you said that, like, the world is, okay, let's say, like, perfect, i.e., like, there's no evil at first, right? So first there's no evil, and we're not evil at all, right? But then somehow evil comes from us somehow. How's that happen? Why did that happen? Just cause? It's like, oh, just cause, I guess. Like, you know, they just did it. They were just evil.
Yeah.
I mean, there's already evil in Genesis anyway. And the serpent is evil. Right?
Because
Is the serpent evil before Adam and Eve ate the fruit? Like, I assume he is
Was
evil.
Lucifer
Right?
was Lucifer perfect when God created him? Because he's the first sinner, right? But if you say that he was perfect, why is it perfect being sinning? That's kind of weird. You see?
Okay, you guys having a convo amongst yourselves? Is that what?
You're responding to you, bro.
People are talking for me before I even get a chance.
He's asking you. Dude, he's asking you something in response to what you said.
Yeah. But it's okay, brother. Stone, say whatever you want to say, brother. Say whatever you want to say.
Go ahead, man.
Okay, you said everything that God created at the beginning was perfect. That would include Lucifer. Lucifer would be a perfect being. Why did Lucifer sin? He's perfect. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Whatever
Go ahead.
you want
I'll
to
listen.
say.
I'll shut up. Go ahead.
Alright, cool. You sure?
Yes, shutting up now. Shutting up now.
I'm going back to the whole, the web with the maker and the earth, okay? Yeah, as I was saying, like the problem came from us. With our perfection came something that God decided to give us, which is free will. Therein lies the problem that you're searching for, Mr. Sully. Okay? It's not with God. Again, it's with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
But then, wait. But even if we have free will, right? Like, let's say we have libertarian, like the most robust free will.
You guys are making a big deal out of nothing.
Just listen. We have. Let's say we have like the most robust.
I'll
Can
listen.
you just listen for a second? Okay. All right.
If you could
We have the
return,
most.
but go ahead.
I am. I'm responding to you. Brought up free will as the reason. Okay. So let's say we have the most robust kind of free will that you can think of. You know. So we really have this like fully free choice. You know, to act as like a first cause of different possible actions. You know. Okay. Think about how you have a free choice to do something incredibly disgusting to you, right? So you have a free choice to, you know, go and swim in raw sewage right now if you want to, okay? Like, you could go make that happen, right? You might get arrested or something, I don't know, but you could make that happen if you really try, okay? And the point is that, yeah, you're free to do that. You have the free will capacity to do that, but I wouldn't expect you to do that right now, right? Like, I don't know, I think you seem relatively sane. I don't think you would decide to go and swim in raw sewage. And so the point is, like, even if we have free will, if we are very, very, very good beings, right, then doing evil, right, then even the idea that even with free will, it's still incredibly unexpected that you would do evil things.
I agree. We agree agree. So we agree, bro. We have no argument. I completely 1000% agree with that. That's why there's a problem with sitting there. Like I said, hey, we could be here for days discussing that. No one knows where.
But then the point is that so this is the point. It makes evil very unlikely on your view, which means that the evil we see in the world counts as evidence against your view.
What? Well, hold up.
It's incredibly unlikely on this view that there's a perfect being, right? So this evil we've agreed is very unlikely.
Hold on, Sully.
You just agreed that it's incredibly unlikely if we were.
Go slow with me, bro. Just go. Let's take it back. Now say that again slowly. Come
You
again.
said you agreed that if we are really, really, really good beings, you said perfect, but I'm just gonna say very good. Okay, because that'll appease Andrew. That's what it says in the Bible. Okay, it says very good. It doesn't say perfect. So okay. So if we are very, very good beings, okay. It doesn't say perfect. It says very good. But like, look, anyway. The point is that if we're very good beings, then yeah, even if we have really robust free will, right? You understand the like swimming in raw sewage example that I just gave you.
Yes.
It's very unexpected that such beings would do evil things, even though they have free will. Now, okay, the next step is this means that your explanation for evil is a free will choice that is very unlikely on the view. Right? Now hold on. And that means that the existence of evil in the world is unexpected according to your hypothesis. And that means that it's evidence against your hypothesis.
How so? This is where you lose it.
Because on the hypothesis you're promoting, we would not expect to see evil, but we do see evil, and so it counts against the hypothesis. Just like how evidence works. You're saying like, if my theory is true, right, then evil is very unlikely, and it turns out, oh well, there's a lot of that. Okay.
So because something is unlikely, that means it won't be? Like, what are you talking about?
No, if I have
too fast. This is what I'm telling you, slow down, bro. You're going too fast. This is why you're confused. What you're saying don't make any sense, but you think it does.
Yeah, show me. So shut up. A perfect being, Stone.
That's true.
Well, I just told Sully to shut up. He's going too fast. He's blabbering.
Fuck you, Andrew.
But listen, here's what I was gonna say, Stone. Listen, this will be real chill. Ready? So he created.
Real quick. No. Because this is turning into silliness, bro.
It's not silly. Can I say one thing? God created perfect beings. Okay. He is perfect. Okay. God doesn't sin. How do you explain that God has free will and he doesn't do evil ever and never will? But us, being perfect, also chose evil. How do you
God has free will. See, this is what I'm saying. You guys keep saying these things and making these assumptions and just flying right past them.
You don't think God's perfect.
What do you mean God has free will? What is that? You describing human attributes?
I'll tell you. Do you think God had to create?
No, Andrew, this is off topic, bro. What are you doing? This is completely off topic. No. This isn't about whether God has free will.
Yeah, you guys.
Kitover County Congressman podcast. I've been good.
So, look, it's not about whether God has free will.
I don't know why. I don't know why that was.
Andrew, forget about this. Andrew, forget about this pedantic thing about perfection. I already tried to push us aside.
Here's why it's brought up.
No, but I know, but he doesn't mean that anyway. So it doesn't matter. He just means the thing it says in the Bible. Okay, but that means using the word. Yeah, you're breaking it.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. It's fine.
The point is that, like, okay, we were good, right? His explanation, his theodicy is like a free will theodicy. He's saying that the explanation for evil is that we had free will. Okay, so like, it didn't come from God. God made the world perfect, very good, whatever.
Sorry, you guys are gonna have
See, this is the problem, is that you're only getting through the first, like, clause of the sentence.
You're wrong.
Like, the whole sentence.
I'm gonna tell you why I'm doing that, because you're wrong. Everything afterwards is gonna be wrong. If the the foundation.
Okay, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Everything built on top of it is going. We're not.
Yeah, what did I say that was wrong?
Hold, can you please? The problem is not that we have free will. That's not the problem. That's what you just
I
said.
didn't say problem. I said it was the explanation for why evil exists that you offer.
Yeah, and that's wrong. And that's wrong. That's not. That's not.
What do you mean that's wrong? That's what you said.
Because
This is
you're
John
not
Kitover,
listening to
Canada
the
Congressman
person.
podcast. Go to john4congress.com. We're listening
Telling me, you guys
to
keep saying
people
what I'm
debate
saying.
theology
That is what you
on
said.
Clubhouse.
I
It's
asked
kind of
you
ridiculous,
where
isn't
evil
it?
came
But
from,
this is
and
what
you
it's
said
like.
it came from us because we have free
People
will. That's what you
completely
fucking said.
incapable of having a
That's not
conversation.
what I fucking said.
That is what you said. That is what you said.
I can tell you what I said. You don't have to get excited, bro. I'm right
I
here.
don't need you to. Okay, go. All right, whatever. I'll go with whatever you say right now. Okay, I'll forget about what you said before. Go ahead. Say anything bigger. Sure. Well, go ahead. So.
You're making me seem like free will. Jesus. Okay, I give up, man. You
got this.
Quiet. Like,
You know you interrupted me, right? Like I was in the middle of a sentence and you stopped.
I know.
So you better give me something, because you interrupted. I lost my train of thought of what I was saying. So you better have something right now.
I better. I'm up against it. So he's got the gun in my head.
Okay, so I'll go. All right, look. So here's what I was saying, right? You're saying that evil exists because we have free will, and we decided to do evil things. Okay, well, what the fuck are you saying then?
Okay, that's wrong. Evil doesn't exist because we have free will. Evil exists.
Okay, why does evil exist? Why does evil exist?
You gotta be quiet and then you'll hear it, Sully. This is your problem. You're not listening. Evil exists because we chose evil. That's why it doesn't exist because there's free will. Evil exists because we chose it.
Well, presumably we chose it with our free will, right? Like I don't understand. Choice and free will. Choice and free will are heavily interrelated with one another. So no, I don't understand the distinction you're drawing at all. It seems like you are just appealing to free will. So
He just want to hear himself talk. That's all.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, cool.
Yeah, there are other speakers on the stage. I'd like to address the topic at some point when you gentlemen are finished, talking over each other.
Is this our Joe? Hold on, is this John Kitover?
This is candidate John running in the 16th district against Darren LaHood for Congress.
Are you actually running for Congress? Pretty weird pictures. It seems like you might actually be doing it, which kind of scares me, John. If you actually start governing anywhere, I would be pretty concerned.
I'm not doing that because you're wrong. Everything afterwards is going to be wrong.
Okay.
anyway, I'll just give that.
Hold on, John.
Anybody who does, listen, don't mute your goddamn mic, okay? Anybody who does give the free will defense, which is not you, no, close your microphone. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about anybody who does. You should mute us so I can make this fucking point to you, please. Hello? Yes, thank you. Okay.
I'm just saying, there's no
Motherfucker. Look, I'm in the middle of talking. Okay?
Just
Bro, you don't even talk to me like that, bro. You really don't.
I'm not talking to you. I was making a point about fucking people who give the free will defense. Can I just make my point, please? I'm not talking to you anymore. Is that okay? Like, Jesus Christ. Okay, so the people who give the free will defense. The point is that, if we are very, very good in the beginning, okay, it's not expected that very, very good people are going to do evil things, even if they have free will. So they can have robust free will, okay? As robust as you want to make it, right? And the point is that, yeah, you have that kind of free will towards doing all kinds of stuff, okay? If you're never going to, you have not an inkling to even think about it, okay? And so for very, very good creatures, this is what we would expect. And so, the narrative has the serpent coming in for doing, Judeo-Christian Genesis stuff, okay? And it seems like evil already exists before the fall of Adam and Eve in that story, unless you want to say the serpent is, which that sounds like a more interesting version of the story. But it seems like evil already exists. So like somebody already, does Lucifer have free will, or Satan, or whatever, the serpent, so is that all free will? And then the point is just like, okay, God wants he wants to make creatures who have free will. I mean, he's a perfect being. I'm still expecting creatures, like even conditional on he's going to make creatures who have libertarian free will. I'm still not expecting them to do evil things. You know?
And again, we agreed on that point, bro. I was there with you. But then you threw something else in the mix that.
Yeah, and I'm saying once you agree to all that, then evil is really unexpected on your hypothesis.
I still agree with you. It is unexpected.
Okay, but then when we see evil, then it's evidence against the hypothesis. That's literally the next point.
I want none of you. You're doing it to me.
You're already accepting the whole argument, though, man. Because you're just like,
what you did, I want none of you. All right, control that, bro. Like, dang. But again, like I said, I agree with you 1,000% with that. All right, but nevertheless, though it's unexpected, it is. It exists. It's there. Now, what you ought to do, not what we ought to do.
It's evidence against the hypothesis. That's the point.
Instead of keep going around the circle saying yes, unexpected, so then never done, it doesn't prove anything. What we ought to do is try to figure out why it's there. That was
If I said, think about it like this, right? I have a hypothesis, and it's that Bob, got murdered yesterday. Okay. Is it likely that we would see Bob walking around tomorrow on that hypothesis?
No, that's
right. Okay. Now, if we saw Bob walking around, let's say tomorrow we get together and we see Bob walking around, is that evidence against the hypothesis that he was murdered?
I would say so. Yeah.
Right. So that's like the principle here. So it's saying, okay, you're agreeing that this thing is really unexpected if your hypothesis is true, and then we see it. And we go, oh, this is evidence against that hypothesis.
No, but how is that evidence? Because something is
because his hypothesis is totally evil, and at this point,
do you remember the cake?
we can
Do
still
you remember the
ego.
baker and the cake, and how you said that would, if you got a cake that had poop in it, then it's evidence against the baker being a perfect baker?
Well, we never got to that point. See, the first thing we got to was like, okay, so that's a good example to turn back to, because the way I framed it is, would you expect there to be fecal matter? He said no. But like, let's say I give you a cake, right? And it does have fecal matter in it, right? Then you're going to think, hey, you said this guy was a perfect cake baker, but that must be false because, at least this is evidence that that's not true, right?
Exactly.
Okay, good. So we agree on like everything here, man. So like the point is just that evil is evidence against, perfect being.
No, it's not, because those examples don't match up, bro. And by the way, is it 30 against 1?
Everything is literally the same. It's literally the same thing.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
The structure of the inference is exactly the same. Right? It's saying, here's the hypothesis. It's in one case you have a perfect cake baker, in the other case you have a perfect being. And then instead of, we have fecal matter instead of evil. Okay? We're saying, okay, would we expect the fecal matter? No. We found the fecal matter. Oh, that's evidence against this perfect cake maker hypothesis. And it's the same thing. Right? But it's like we find the evil and it's evidence against the perfect outcome.
Yeah, the cake doesn't have agency. That's the problem with the whole thing. It's not the same at all.
No, but I guess there is this point about free will, bro.
His ego won't allow him to get it. He's fighting against his ego right now. Not
I'm
logic.
like doing like the personal attacks instead of actually doing like the logical stuff on us. Fucking annoying.
Thank you.
No, I think Mr. agrees with. No, I think he's agreeing with it.
Yeah, I do agree with you. This is just AWOC. AWOC is mad because he was adopted by monkeys. And he's mad.
AWOC thinks you're agreeing with the other guy. That's the issue. You're just like,
yeah, because he's not tracking very well.
AWOC is just trying to keep things civil instead of us turning into a bunch of dumbasses. That's what he's trying to do.
I mean,
we can't do things personally. We try to have a discussion. But if we want to get
the point though, right? Like,
I'll just be quiet.
About
And
that.
I want to get
So are we talking about changing the number to be a bonus 40?
It sounds look, I'll just say this and then I'll let you talk. I'll just shut up. Okay. It seems to me like you just agreed with like every step of the argument. And then the idea is like, you just don't agree with the part at the end where I say like, okay, so this is evidence, right? And then you go, no. And it's kind of like the Patrick SpongeBob, or sorry, the Patrick in the Man Ray meme or whatever, where he's like showing him the license, and he's like, okay, so it has your name on it, right? And he's like, yep. And it's like, okay, so and it has your name on it, that means that it's yours, right? He's like, yeah. It's like, okay, so it's yours. He's like, no, no. You know, it's kind of like that sort of thing here, because you're saying yes, it's very unexpected on the hypothesis, and you're even agreeing like with the other inferences where it's like, you know, if I would expect not to find this, if the hypothesis were true, and I do find it, then that's evidence against, you know.
I got you.
Even speech against evidence.
Do you want us to get to like an understanding of something? I can do that. If that's what you want to do, you just want to, I don't know exactly what you're seeking here,
That
but
happened over
let
here.
me try, okay? Cool. All right, what is it you want me to understand here? How about walk me through this step by step, I
I
guess.
gave you a response to like the free will idea, and I gave you responses to
So in other words, what you're saying
the other ideas you brought up. So
God can't be real because there's evil in the world. That's ultimately
it's an evidence. So I'm giving you the evidential version, which is just to say like, look at all this evil, look at all these fucking evil people doing evil shit for centuries, if not millennia of evil. And also, I don't know if you're a young earther or whatever, but okay, so since about 4000 BC, there's been about, okay, so I'm just going to starting to count from like 4000 BC then, right? There's been about 105 billion humans. Well, no, 4000 BC is 6,000 years from today, right?
4,000 BC is 6,000 years. Okay, all right, cool. Yeah,
correct. So we got about 105 billion people. If they were to live an average of 40 years each and suffer for 15% of their lifespan, then you would get 630 billion years of human suffering time. So there has been like an absolutely immense degree of both human and animal suffering, even if we're using young Earth dating. Okay. And that is all just like incredibly unexpected. We would not expect to see that kind of thing, on a perfect being hypothesis, at least a priori. And so the point is that the fact that we see that is evidence against the hypothesis.
Oh, okay, look, we would not expect to see that on a perfect being? Is that what you said? On a perfect being?
If there is a perfect being, yeah.
Well, if there is a perfect, we would not expect it. What if that perfect being decided to give us a free choice to do whatever we want to do? How about if he presented to us, he respected and loved us enough to be like, okay, I've created you, I give you your own agency. Here's the way to life, here's the way to death. If you do X, here's what awaits you, blessings and all that. If you do Y, you got death, and death is what awaits you. And here it is, choose wisely. Would that be a cool thing for a perfect being to do? Wouldn't you think that would be the most coolest for a perfect being? Wouldn't that raise him up to glory in your eyes as far as his perfection is concerned? Right? And if then,
I'm confused about what
if then these same beings, with all that in front of them, they chose why? Would that be the being's fault?
Wait, I'm sorry. So, are you asking me, would it be the being's fault if one of the agents that they created chose to do evil?
Chose what? I can't hear you. What was the last
point? Okay. Are you asking? Okay. I'm not necessarily saying that it's God's fault that Adam.
That's exactly what you're saying. What are you talking about?
No.
Okay. I'm hearing you wrong then, my bad. Because that's what I'm getting from what you're saying.
No, because all I'm saying is that it's unexpected, not that God is blameworthy for it.
I agree with the unexpected part, 1,000%.
Right, but that's enough to make it evidence against them. So the point is that, like, if you tell me the point is that, look, if you tell me there's a perfect, all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good God, okay, and he's going to create a universe, okay, just like in the cake baker case where I say, okay, I have a very low credence that there's going to be any shit in this cake. Right, very low credence on that. Okay. On the hypothesis that there's a perfect being, tri-omni being creating the universe. Okay. Evil is very unexpected. immense suffering is very unexpected. And it's literally something I expect not to find on that hypothesis, right? And so then when we find it, it counts as evidence against, just like if we found shit in the cake, we'd be like, this guy's not a perfect cake baker. He's like a shitty cake baker.
And that's it, Sully, full stop. It's only evidence that this guy isn't a perfect baker. Just like it's only evidence that we chose to
No, but that's, oh my god, the hypothesis is that he's perfect. Okay, look, the hypothesis is that a perfect being
bro, that's the problem. You refuse to listen.
Oh my god.
It's only evidence.
It's not about saying that there still would be a God, okay? It's not about saying, oh, there would just be a bad God, right? It's saying the hypothesis says that there's a perfect being, right? And then this counts as evidence against.
But how does it say there's not a being? How is the fact that we chose evil evidence against the fact that there is not a God? How does that work? That's the connection. Okay, when it's okay.
I've explained the free will thing, even on a free will account, right? It's incredibly unexpected. That's not what we would expect.
I don't want you to get exasperated, bro. It's cool. I'm just gonna say for the record.
If I had to play the game, if you said like, hey, God created a guy, and the guy he created, okay, right? He has libertarian free will, and you were like, okay, what credence do you assign that he's gonna go swim in the raw sewage? Oh, like pretty much none, because you said he's like, you know, he made him a really good, upstanding guy who's like reasonable, who would know better, you know? Okay. And that's gonna apply to like everything. Hey, do you think he's gonna eat the apple? No, he's not gonna eat the apple. What do you mean? I'm going all in on he's not gonna eat the apple. I just got dealt, you know, pocket aces. I'm going all in.
Sully, homie, don't we do dumb shit every fucking day, but yet we know better?
Yeah, but God didn't make Sully,
of all the people that ask that question, it shouldn't be fucking human beings. We do dumb shit every fucking second.
Hey, what's the point of this conversation at this point? Like, you know, is there a goal here? What are you guys even discussing at this point? And, you know, you just keep repeating yourselves. This is ridiculous at this point.
What do you got for us, John? What would you like to see? Don't troll, John, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the best reasons for God is intelligence. The divinity or the divine, you know, Lord is super intelligent. So theism, all this religious debate, it all deals with intelligence and super intelligence. So the best reason for God is clearly exhibited in the highest levels of intelligence. And what you've just witnessed is someone try to explain to another person how the English language works, and that person rejected everything that person said, and they talked over each other. There's no intelligence here. It's a typical Andrew room. But God deals with divine intelligence, and I can assure you, everything you just witnessed was a waste of time, completely and utterly, and that's why I have a recording of it in another room called Conversational Hypnosis. Super stupid waste of time. Thanks for contributing to my content collection efforts, everybody.
I forgot this is the guy that does that. Anyway, Andrew, you should let me run this on you because I don't think you have a good response to this either. And you're kind of just sitting here stewing in this guy's like defeat.
I don't have a good response.
Andrew's just sitting here going like, damn, this guy hasn't even learned yet.
I'm not saying that. I think it can count as evidence. It's fine.
Okay, but like, there's a lot.
Not cool, bro. I got a great response.
I mean, is it more like?
Did you hear the thing about the 630 billion years of human suffering?
Yeah.
I mean,
okay, not me. Sorry.
I do think there's some mitigation to all that, though. So, I mean, I don't think it's just flat out no good explanations for it, you know. So, I mean, I do think the sheer scale and maybe the quality of the suffering.
You think he could have taken off maybe like a billion years, so maybe like 10 of those 630 billion years?
If he had, would you know it? You know what I mean? So I do think that he has.
Oh my god.
I think he
I
has.
mean, that's a low ball estimate, by the way. Like, if you do more reasonable estimates, it's like over 1 trillion years. It's like crazy.
Well, you also like creationism, so.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. If you like young Earth creationism, it helps you a bit here. Caleb, wouldn't you want to say here, because
Not really, because it's still 630 billion years at 15. Okay, that's assuming average lifespan 40 years, 105 billion people since 4000 BC, and 15% of your life is suffered, which is pretty low.
Sully, why? My question for you is this: if the recipients of the suffering, or the victims of it, let's say, still see God as good, in spite of that, predominantly, and they don't blame Him, quote unquote, for it, right? They're able to.
Yeah, but see, you get that the argument I was just running had nothing to do with belief, right? It was just that it's
something you wouldn't expect them to do.
It's the same as, it's not even just like, I shouldn't even just phrase it as unexpected or wouldn't expect, it's that you expect not to, right? Which is like the cake baker case, right? Like, it's like, yeah, perfect cake baker, I'm not expecting there to be like, feces in here. And it's the same kind of thing here. It's like, okay, perfect being, creating a world, creating beings, creating libertarian agents. How many chips am I putting on? It's going to be all good. I'm putting a lot of chips on, putting almost all of my chips on. Yeah, if it's a perfect being, omnipotent, all-knowing, creates, the best stuff, basically. But I'm expecting it to be all good. I'm not expecting to find any shit.
Right, but for them to put feces in it, so to speak, or to make feces in the cake, right? Because let's say they're the ingredients of the cake, and they're making feces in the cake.
What's with all these examples of shit pies and crap cakes?
Yeah, but then he put little rapscallions in the cake who were gonna make shit. See, the point is that even if the cake baker was gonna put these little rapscallions in there who had the libertarian capacity to make shit inside the cake, right? You would expect the ones he picked to be like very unlikely to do that, right? Like that's kind of the point. Like the things that he creates, even if they have libertarian, like again, you get that whole, you don't have any inclination to go swim in raw sewage, unless you have like total free. You could totally go do that right now. Like you have all the free will in the world to go and do that. And they did it on Jackass.
Yeah.
So you can I think RFK did it too, so I think you definitely could do it if you wanted.
I think our conversation, this conversation is leading to where our last one did, so where I ended up saying that I would gobble up a whole bowl of feces to get to the candy bar.
Yeah, but see, that's where we melted.
You would eat a bowl of shit to get to a Snickers bar?
I know you would eat shit to get a candy bar, but like, I'm just taking a good example of something you wouldn't do then. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of stuff where you're like, yeah, it's like, I wouldn't even think of that, but now that you present it to me, like, hell no. I would never do that, So that's kind of the point. It's like, all the evil shit that they could have done could have been like that.
Again, this is candidate Congressman.
He could have been, by the way. I mean, like, so like, from their perspective, it's like, why the fuck would I ever do anything evil? Like, what? Yeah, I could. Why would I do it?
I think despite of the strong draw is part of why faith pleases God and why it is a genuine relationship.
Why is there a strong draw?
Because, well, there's a strong draw.
That's like the whole point, right? God wouldn't create you with a strong draw to do evil.
God wouldn't create with a strong draw to do evil. So I think
that makes no sense.
I would think it would be just the nature of being.
It's obviously a bad thing, right?
No. Well, the draw doesn't have to necessarily be like something you are constructing. It can just be the nature of it.
But if you have a nature towards
and conscious in human senses, and you're able to.
That's all neutral stuff. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
You don't have any predilection towards doing evil. Why wouldn't you? Why would you? Like, if anything, like the best thing you want to shoot for here is like, well, for some reason he had to make it 50-50. That seems like that doesn't seem very defensible. In light of all this other stuff that we're not like 50-50.
I don't think I would go straight down the middle, but I would definitely say, because I think that God needs to give sufficient reason.
Why would God want to give us reasons to do evil things?
I think you would want to put us in a world in which we would choose the good in spite of the reasons to do evil.
But why would He ever give us? Where are these reasons for doing evil coming from? Why are there these reasons?
Yeah, that's good. I think it's going to be part of like cashing out what it means to just exist, like putting beings in an environment in which they can interact with one another freely, and the ideas surrounding what it means to love, what it means to be generous and kind, and all these things. There has to be like the opposite, into the spectrum there. I think that doesn't even make any sense though. So because
first of all, you know how Sasha pushes back on the goofballs and the design arguments where they're like, well, do you know anything that's not designed? It's like, it doesn't matter. Design is still sensible even if everything's not correct. So it's like, it's the same kind of thing here. Good is still like perfectly transparent even if there's and that has to be the case because God isn't like deprived of there being bad things. Like it's not like he doesn't understand. So like
what I'm saying is freedom is part of good. Freedom is part of good. It's inherent with what it means to be good.
No, that's fine. I'm fine with saying freedom is good, but again, I'm giving you all of that stuff. Right?
Okay, so
I'm giving you the most robust kind of free will, and I'm not blaming God for what people do. Right? But what I'm saying is, right, what I would expect Him to make are people who not only are they not like susceptible to reasons for doing bad things, because I don't even know where those reasons are coming from in this picture, but like they're actually inclined to do good because they're good, like they're good people, right? I would expect Him to make very good people who, with their libertarian free will, like I'd be very surprised to find out that they did bad things,
I can help with this problem, but go ahead, Andrew.
So sex is pleasurable, silly, right? But not all sex is good. So there's a desire to have sex, but then
no, but don't give me examples, like, because I understand that maybe in the actual world there are reasons people have for doing bad things, right? Question is like, why are there any reasons like that?
Yeah, so what would it look like to have beings that are interacting with one another that allow for genuine good choices and showing kindness and love and consideration towards one another, where there wouldn't be the ability to do evil and there would still be freedom? I don't understand. Can you help me break that down?
And man, well said.
Wait, but look, are we talking about just the ability? Because I thought I was granting you that like they have like this libertarian option.
Yeah. But the thing is if you're gonna make the choice to choose God genuinely free, meaning they genuinely.
The point is about their reasons for doing it. That's fine. Right? Like, that's what I think. So I'm saying that they can take the action.
I got you.
Right. But then there's this separate question about where would any reasons for taking that action arise from? And then there's like, okay.
So there's a difference between people, right? We have to have distinctions. We can't have everybody be the same, okay? And so as soon as you have contrast for identification purposes, to be able to see who people are, right? Just to be able to distinguish from who's who, right? Just having that now.
It exists in the Trinity.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm saying among humans. So God creates humans.
Yeah, but okay. But I'm just saying like this structural feature is not going to do much for you.
Well, no, just hear me out.
Right. So there's beings that can like self-identify and
they can self-identify that they're not you and you aren't them, and we can all distinguish from each other. Okay, cool. And then we're gonna have some sort of physical appearance if we're gonna allow for visual apprehension.
Physical and body consciousness. Yeah.
Cool. And then maybe audio, right? If we're gonna be talking, if we're gonna interact.
We got human body. I'll give you human bodies, bro. I don't know what you want.
Cool. And then if you're going to have this idea of procreation, if we're not going to live forever, then you're going to.
Well, I don't know if that was the case before the fall, but
So let's just say you live forever and you're not going to procreate. That's fine. So
that's not what we're talking. Now you're just getting off topic here.
No.
We were talking about what God can create and like the beings.
That's fine. So He can create two types of beings.
You're saying in your view He created beings.
But I'm saying, but okay, let's just zoom out for a second. It's going to be either immortal or not immortal, right? The beings.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Come on, why are you saying these things to me?
Go. No, I'm just trying to go step by step here. So then you have beings, if we say they're immortal, whatever. That's going to exclude certain things like being able to kill each other or doing stuff like that, which we can talk about that. But let's just say if we're going to ownership, anything like that. Okay, whatever that's going to look like in this kind of world that we're talking about. So if there's going to be, if you can have things, if you can have,
I don't know why we're introducing a lot of this stuff.
because
Can we get clear on why we're introducing all this stuff?
creating an, okay, so
Like for example, like God could create a world where there are beings who are physically embodied, right? Where it's just like, I don't know, it's like God makes it a communist utopia. They just have men fall from heaven. They're just all happy and shit.
okay. Like you just put
You
like
can,
that.
so I don't really see like, so I don't know why we're like starting to talk about like transitions and stuff like that.
It's like if you're fallen from heaven, dude gets more man than the other guy. The other guy sees that he has more and he wants something to get out. Now what?
Andrew, again, the point is like, okay, imagine he creates like a lot of really good people, and then they all realize that they're all like very smart, and they're like, oh, you know, like it's okay that I can realize that they're free because this stuff falls from heaven, and I can just get however much fucking man I want because it's falling from God. It doesn't matter that that guy has a nice. Okay, like
we're just gonna.
The point is about expectations, and that you're constantly importing like, you know, you're like, well, what if basically like, what if conditions are really harsh, and then like people are just like bad. It's like, okay, but like, why would God make that stuff? The whole point is, if we were just saying He's creating a world, right, and He's gonna make conscious embodied agents, and they're gonna have human bodies, okay, now I'm just like, going from those things, like, okay, this is what I'm giving a priori, and we're like, okay, what do we expect this world to look like, you know? And then the picture you're painting is like a kind of a tortured picture to try to bring it into line with the actual world. And what I say is like, no, but that's like motivated, right? Because the point is that a priori, like prima facie, you should just go, yeah, the world I would expect on that hypothesis would look like incredible. And I would not expect like 630 billion years of suffering. And I would not expect like, you know, genocides and wars and fucking children burning alive. I wouldn't expect any of this. Wouldn't expect it. In fact, I would expect not to find that stuff if I was to go and check this world created by this being. Even if you created beings with free will in that world, even if there was free will, it wouldn't matter.
I think that's just a smooth over anticipation, though. I don't think you can like. There's going to be various things that people are going to be wanting to do, and I think it's just going to be the nature of existence that they would have that on their plate.
Why do they want to look, Andrew? Because do you want to go swim in raw sewage? Do you want to go swim in raw sewage? Do you want to go swim in raw sewage, Andrew?
No, I don't want to do that.
No, you don't. Right? You don't. Okay, so why do you just get to say they would want that? Why do you just get to say they would just want that? Like,
Andrew, let me help him real quick. Let me just throw one thing in here.
You're not using analogous examples, though, Sully. I agree with you. They don't want sewage, but what about things they do want that aren't?
No, but why would they want to do bad things?
I don't help me out. You give them that aren't bad. What about when they want things that aren't bad but can be, depending on the circumstance? That's the problem. These are things that are not a problem to want, but given the circumstance that you find it in, it can be a problem.
Right. So the particular thing is that. Right. Like, look,
the particular.
This is just a word being meant. You're saying like.
I'm speaking. I have the answer you're seeking, sir. I've been waiting for like 10 minutes, bro. I have the answer from you. Okay, never mind, man. I didn't appreciate you away. So, it's all good, brother. You my brother anyway. It's all good.
Just don't lay your thing out. Go.
No, he doesn't want to hear it, man. He's already.
Go ahead, man. You just go ahead. I gave you an opportunity to speak before, and you didn't say anything, and now you're talking to Andrew.
No. This is about the particular problem that you keep repeating because you're expecting. You're missing out one thing, bro.
Go ahead.
You're missing one thing, bro. The serpent. That's what you're missing. I'm just gonna say that.
I already commented on the serpent. The serpent doesn't do anything.
It changes everything.
You're adding.
It literally changes nothing. You're just kicking the can down the road for why the serpent did something.
That's right.
No. What?
You're opening up a whole new door that we don't want to.
It's literally just going to be the same thing, but at the level of why did the serpent do that thing? It's not even a different argument.
No, Sully, you keep asking why is it that these beings in this perfect world would want to do X, Y, Z, and I'm telling you, there's something you're missing in that whole thing. It was the serpent out there enticing them to do that.
Look, the whole point is you can build this convoluted mechanism of shit that makes shit inside the cake that the perfect cake baker is making, right? So you have this imagine the perfect cake baker put a Rube Goldberg machine that eventually produces a nugget of shit into the cake, you know? That's all also something where I would be like, yeah, I don't expect him to do that. I don't expect this kind of Rube Goldberg fucking, mechanism that, this guy, this fucking Archon sinned first, and then this guy fell, and then, these guys ate this fruit, and like, that's why there's.
They did expect Satan. They were warned about Satan. And not only that, there was a tree in the car. Bro, that's a whole bunch of shit you're missing here. But it's all good.
Well, they weren't warned about Satan.
Okay.
They weren't warned.
I mean, it literally makes no difference what the story is.
But that's a problem. If you just don't want to accept it, that's another problem. Then we're just being a dead horse.
Well, the problem is that you already accepted the whole argument.
And Stone, where are they warned about Satan?
That's a good question because we kind of have okay. Let's just say that they were warned. How do I put this?
They told nothing.
They knew. Let's just say this. They knew about temptation. Let's just add that.
Why?
They knew about temptation because listen, Andrew. They were specifically warned about the tree of life, the tree of the good of the knowledge of good and evil. They were specifically warned about that, and they were told, don't touch it. So temptation was already thrown into the mix. They were already tested.
Well, it was in the mix insofar as it was present for them to be tempted by, but they didn't know what temptation was until they experienced it. God just said, don't do this.
No, we're not gonna. I don't agree with you there, but it's all good.
Good, but even him saying, don't eat of the fruit. You might say that carries within it temptation because now it's like do not do it. Not
Exactly.
You might have the desire to go contrary to him, but then Sully's asking why even have the desire? Why is it that they're God's created beings that will have the desire to go contrary to the good, and why not compare these desires?
I explain that with the fruit because listen, because otherwise they would be robots. God wasn't trying to create robots.
I get that. That's not what he's saying though. Right? God
That's
can't.
exactly what he's saying.
God can't.
He's expecting them to be perfect and just do what they told him. Like a program.
God can't shoot guys. Stone. Is God a robot?
Of course not. What kind of question is that?
Okay. Does God only choose good?
But what I'm saying is, why are you trying to put God in the human box?
That's what you're
trying to do. You're trying to put God in the human box.
The point is to show that a being can be free and still only choose good.
Again, why are we making God a being? God is above being. God creates beings.
You don't think God.
Well, look, that's a whole nother argument. Again, let's not try to put God into the human box. Let's just eliminate that. I mean, I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole. The point is,
box. There are similarities between God and humans, though, right?
Yeah, but you're asking why wouldn't God do evil and whatnot? Who's going to tell God he did evil? Who's going to question God or judge him? What's that?
I'm saying he can't do evil, but he's free. That's my point.
Well, I don't know if he can't do evil because the Bible states it says. Well, you know what? Again, that's not something.
The Bible says that God cannot do evil.
Let's just not get into that because that would open up a whole nother can of worms. Let's just not go there. What was I saying? I was saying that you made me forget what the hell I was saying, man.
You ain't saying shit. You ain't saying shit.
It's okay, John. You think the snake is going to solve this for Sully? So
no, what I'm saying is no. I didn't say it would solve it. But
the snake and the serpent is secretly Jesus Christ.
Why? Okay, but he kept asking, why is it that perfect beings would want to do this? I'm saying there was something else involved that he's not that he's just skipping over. That was the serpent. Now, but the serpent had all the powers of Lucifer with him. All of that entails, it wasn't just a little temptation. It wasn't just a small enticement. This was some supernatural, extra powerful shit. And we know all about temptation. I mean, just little things get us going. When we know this shit is wrong, as I was saying before, we do this every day. As human beings, we should be the last people to ask these questions about why would somebody who knows better do wrong. That's the last question we as human beings should be asking.
No, dog, maybe you should read a book and study philosophy, and then you can answer that simple question.
All right, homie, could you need a hug? What the hell? Yo,
Do you need a hug? And how long are you just gonna keep rambling, talking about nothing?
Okay, alright, how about this? How about you hop off my nutsack and just chill out there and let me finish? How about that?
Yes, please stay off his testicles, John.
Please. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyhow, yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead.
but Stone, so God can create free beings that only choose the good. They don't choose to murder, rape, and do all this horrendous stuff for millions of years or however long, right?
I don't agree with that at all.
Explain why that's not possible to Sully. Go ahead.
Because again, that would just be Sully. You speaking for Sully now? Because again, that would be creating a robot. God is not interested in creating robots. He's interested in creating free human beings that can think and to choose him because it's the right thing to do.
So here's what Sully said. He said, can you create robots that when they choose, can you create humans that when they want to choose to do evil, it makes them smell feces and taste feces and makes them not want to do it? Like,
Yes, he can. Yes, he can, because that's what happens to every single one of us, whether we choose to deny it or accept it. Yeah, that's the case. But it's over time, we got used to the feces and we starting to love the feces. That's the problem. That's the problem. We got used to that shit that we ignore it and we starting to love it. That's the funny part.
I agree, but I think Sully wants to say that it can be so strong that you just won't do it.
Well, it was like that. It was like that at first, but no, we might not want it, but nevertheless, they did it. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Well, why do they want to do it at all, though? Sully wants to say, why do they want to do it at all? Why do they want to say
nobody? But again, that's what I'm saying. Sully keeps making these assumptions. Nobody said that. We're not saying that they wanted to do it. That's a whole other argument. I think nobody's saying that.
I think we want. Hold on. The Bible says sin offers pleasure for a season or whatever. I think it is true. Sin is something we want to do. Why is it pleasurable?
I think I disagree with you there, bro. Sin is death.
Yeah,
I disagree with you there, bro. Sin is death. It matters. Listen, hold up. Let me. Allow me, bro. What sin does, it masquerades as pleasure. It gives this appearance of, but it's all a mirage.
But that's the point.
It's all a mirage. It ain't pleasure. So to say sin is not pleasure.
What's a mirage?
It is pleasure.
No, I disagree with you there, bro.
What do you think pleasure is?
It's not sin.
No. Hold on. So if somebody is having an adulterous affair, okay, they can engage in an activity that brings physical pleasure. Now you can say that they're distraught or they have some conviction and some emotional, element there that they're not going to like. Yes, sure. I think that's true, but at least at first. But still, it is pleasurable. So I don't agree. I don't think you can deny that.
But here's the thing. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Andrew. Everything that's pleasurable about it is not attributed to sin. That's not the pleasurable part. Everything that's good and what you just described, none of it can be attributed to sin.
That's a fair point, Stone. That's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point.
You got
it. I think that's a fair point. So I do think the overlap between what makes something good and what makes it evil, the same kind of pleasure that it brings you, that's not the bad part of it. It's the context in which it is.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right. My man, Drew coming through in the clutch. About fucking time. Where you been all night?
I was trying to actually develop that. That's exactly what I'm trying to develop with Sully when I was telling him, if you have somebody who's eating manna that God is giving them, and the idea of owning anything or having any kind of relations with anybody,
I don't understand why you're tying those two things together, like having any kind of relations with anybody versus like some super specific thing. Like, what about property rights? It's just like
the reason is because here's the reason, Sully. Is there going to be stuff other than just the beings?
What? Yeah, sure. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Okay, why do you keep doing it? See, I don't think you like walking.
It's just because I don't know. Like, I wish you would kind of make. Look, we can walk down anything, but can you give me like the trajectory? Because I feel like a lot of this stuff is just like goes nowhere.
It's not like I'm trying to walk you down a primrose path.
I don't want to. I think we do that a lot, Andrew. That should be fair. If like, if you can sketch out, I'll do it. Can you just give me where you're going and then we'll do it? Like,
Okay, where I'm going with this is at least what I'm thinking. I've thought about this a bit, okay, but there's still some stuff well, obviously you're smart and I'm willing to, go back and forth on different elements of it. I just think that it is going to become more and more obvious, at least when I thought about this, it becomes more and more obvious that it isn't the case that some utopia kind of world is going to exist, given freedom and beings that interact with one another.
But I mean, the point is like, just imagine that. Okay, it can be state of nature or whatever you want. Okay, we put a bunch of beings who, are at least close enough to maybe like form a community or something. Okay, and the resources are like, there's like enough there for them to like have a little society and civilization. Like, we don't know what they're gonna do, right? And then I tell you, they're all really, really, really good people. And then it's like, okay, what kind of society are we expecting here? And then we go and we look and we're like, oh, it's like a hellscape. And it's like, wow, I didn't expect this. In fact, like, I expected to find them having built like a really nice little peaceful village or something. Like, the point is that, like, it's just, I don't think any of these moves are going to help against this kind of argument. I think it's just one of those things where you have to go, yeah, I guess that is just evidence against the hypothesis, and maybe try to like say there's more evidence in favor.
Well, no, I agree with Sully, man. I gotta say I agree with him. I just don't agree with the conclusion he's drawing. But the whole shit about unexpected and that whole example, like I said, I agree 1,000% with that. Sin inexplicable. It's like, where the fuck did it come from? What is this thing? But yeah, I mean, the conclusion you're drawing, though, that's evidence of the case against there not being a God. That's where you lose me. I don't know what the hell you draw this called.
Well, I just want to say it's unexpected, given just an all good God, just also evil. God's decisions give him evil. That's kind of weird, right? But God's decisions to make free creatures.
We're taking the step already. I'm saying, like, you have to. I'll give you the free creatures. Right, and in virtue of it being their choice, I'm not going to say God is culpable or something like that, right? Like, I'm letting you off.
Exactly, another pointless stream. That's the whole point of a fucking stream, that it's pointless.
Incredibly robustly libertarianly free creatures, right? And even if they have all these options available to them to do evil things, right? I would expect them to be the sorts of creatures. And I would expect the sorts of creatures who just wouldn't choose evil because it would be good. They'd be such good creatures that they would say, yeah, I could do that. But why the hell would I do that? That's bad.
How do you exclude that possibility, though, Sully? This is where you're losing me. How can you exclude that? That makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, again.
Because Sully, listen, don't oh my God me.
It's not an exclusion, right? The whole point is that, hey, there's certain, I'm saying, yeah, maybe they just turned out bad or something. Maybe they just, they are really good, and like, even though there's this, like Andrew just did decide to go swim in the raw sewage tonight, I guess. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I'm not saying like a deductive argument that Andrew can't decide to go do that, but I would be like,
I think the possibility exists, Sully. Please, does it exist? That possibility.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's the whole point of me granting them the free will.
What are we arguing here then if the possibility exists?
He's saying
we're arguing about evidence.
It's like this, Stone. You're never gonna say, okay, the possibility exists, but you're never going to say, hey, let's get 50 people together and all defecate in each other's mouths and break each other's arms and slit each other's throats. I mean, yeah, sure, somebody might do that.
Like, no, there's an easier example. Just like, say you went to a magic show, right? And you're like, and I'm like, okay, is it possible that last magic trick, is it possible that one was like actually real magic? And you might go like, yeah, it's possible. I mean, it was still probably just a card trick, like, it's really unlikely that it was real magic. But I mean, it's possible that one trick was real.
Of course it is.
Of course it is possible.
Well, people on my YouTube live stream are saying that this is just another pointless live stream about nothing. And I gotta agree, this is a total waste of time as usual.
guys believe in, like, you know, people doing magical shit anyway.
Yeah.
They're all crazy.
It's called supernatural, bro. Get it right, not magical.
Stone, I'll let you pursue this. I want to hear Caleb.
It's literally, I was talking about a magician, so it was like.
Billy, I think the issue is going to be uniformity. The uniformity of like our existence.
I'm out of there. We're going to
Do your tithing, do all the things, and then have a change of heart or a change of mind and say, you know what, this cat, just hold on. This is in general. This is not specific to the topic that we're discussing. I'm just pointing out how you can hold both of these positions simultaneously.
Okay, this is the Tao of meditation. Yikes! Some people take their religion a little too seriously. I mean, I guess you can't take it serious enough. But you see what I'm saying? Where it's like they're just having, would you call that logical syllogisms? They're just having like logic arguments about the arrangement of words. I don't know. This is the Tao Te Ching.
I drop this part in my olive oil. What happens if you drop rosemary leaves in?
And is synonymous with suppleness, adaptability, endurance. Anyone who has seen a Tai Chi or Aikido master doing not doing will know how powerful this softness is. Lao Tzu's central figure is a man or woman whose life is in perfect harmony with the way things are. This is not an idea, it is a reality. I have seen it. The master has mastered nature, not in the sense of conquering it, but of becoming it. In surrendering to the Tao, in giving up all concepts, judgments, and desires, her mind has grown naturally compassionate. She finds, deep in her own experience, the central truths of the art of living, which are paradoxical only on the surface. That the more truly solitary we are, the more compassionate we can be. The more we let go of what we love, the more present our love becomes. The clearer our insight into what is beyond good and evil, the more we can embody the good. Until finally she is able to say, in all humility, I am the Tao, the truth, the life. The teaching of the Tao Te Ching is moral in the deepest sense. Unencumbered by any concept of sin, the master doesn't see evil as a force to resist, but simply as an opaqueness, a state of self-absorption, which is in disharmony with the universal process, so that, as with a dirty window, the light can't shine through. This freedom from moral categories allows him his great compassion for the wicked and the selfish. Thus, the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. The listener will notice that in the many passages where Lao Tzu describes the master, I've used the pronoun she at least as often as he. The Chinese language doesn't make this kind of distinction. In English, we have to choose. But since we are all potentially the master, since the master is essentially us, I felt it would be untrue to present a male archetype, as other versions have ironically done. Ironically, because of all the great world religions, the teaching of Lao Tzu is by far the most female. Of course, you should feel free throughout the recording to substitute he for she, or vice versa. As to method,
Where are you?
from Paul Karras' literal version, which provides English equivalents, often very quaint ones, alongside each of the Chinese ideograms. I also consulted dozens of translations into English, German, and French. But the most essential preparation for my work
was a 14 years long course of Zen training, which brought me face to face with Lao Tzu and his true disciples and heirs, the early Chinese Zen masters. With great poetry, the freest translation is sometimes the most faithful. We must try its effect as an English poem, Dr. Johnson said. That is the way to judge of the merit of a translation. I have often been fairly literal, or as literal as one can be with such a subtle, kaleidoscopic book as the Tao Te Ching. But I have also paraphrased, expanded, contracted, interpreted, worked with the text, played with it, until it became embodied in a language that felt genuine to me. If I haven't always translated Lao Tzu's words, my intention has always been to translate his mind. Describing the indescribable, teaching the unteachable, pointing the way to the way. What does Lao Tzu think he is doing here? It can't be done. No way. Hence, Po Chu-yi, poet and stand-up comedian, wrote, "He who talks doesn't know, he who knows doesn't talk." That is what Lao Tzu told us in a book of 5,000 words. If he was the one who knew, how could he have been such a blabbermouth? That's the problem with spiritual teachers. They have to be blabbermouths. But their words are, in a traditional Buddhist metaphor, fingers pointing at the moon. If you watch the finger, you can't see the moon. How meticulous the great masters had to be. A monk asked Matsu, "Why do you teach mind is Buddha?" Matsu said, "To stop a baby from crying." The monk said, "When the crying has stopped, what then?" Matsu said, "Then I teach, not mind, not Buddha." The monk said, "How about someone who isn't attached to either?" Matsu said, "I would tell him, not beings." The monk said, "And what if you met a man unattached to all things? What would you tell him?" Matsu said, "I would just let him experience the great Tao." In fact, the truth is right before our eyes, right under our noses. So simple that every child understands it. And yet, as Bankei said, the farther you enter into it, the deeper it is. Where is the way to the way? What a question. Still, for complicated minds, drastic measures are needed. Lao Tzu's book was written as a response out of grandmotherly kindness. According to the oldest biography, Lao Tzu lived for a long time in the country of Chu, but seeing its decline, he departed. When he reached the frontier, the guard said, "Since you are going away, sir, could you write a book to teach me the art of living?" Thereupon, Lao Tzu wrote his book about the Tao and departed. This is legend, but it is an accurate description of the way in which true teaching happens. He who knows doesn't talk, but words are no hindrance for him. He uses them as he would use gardening tools. When someone asks, he answers. Tao Te Ching. 1. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet history and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness. The gateway to all understanding. 2. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. 3. If you overesteem great men, people become powerless. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. The master leads by emptying people's minds and filling their cores, by weakening their ambition and toughening their resolve. He helps people lose everything they know, everything they desire, and creates confusion in those who think that they know. Practice not doing, and everything will fall into place. 4. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. 5. The Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty, yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center. 6. The Tao is called the Great Mother. Empty, yet inexhaustible, it gives birth to infinite worlds. It is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. 7. The Tao is infinite, eternal. Why is it eternal? It was never born, thus it can never die. Why is it infinite? It has no desires for itself, thus it is present for all beings. The Master stays behind That is why she is ahead. She is detached from all things. That is why she is one with them. Because she has let go of herself, she is perfectly fulfilled. 8. The supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It is content with the low places that people disdain. Thus, it is like the Tao. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. 9. Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. The only path to serenity. 10. Can you coax your mind from its wandering and keep to the original oneness? Can you let your body become supple as a newborn child's? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but the light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events take their course? Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things? Giving birth and nourishing. Having without possessing. Acting with no expectations. Leading and not trying to control. This is the supreme virtue. 11. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. 12. Colors blind the eye. Sounds deafen the ear. Flavors numb the taste. Thoughts weaken the mind. Desires wither the heart. The master observes the world, but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. His heart is open as the sky. 13. Success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear. What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance. What does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear? See the world as yourself.
Liberalism encourage politics.
Have faith in the way things are.
So if I could just make my point. So the
Love the
framework
world
that I'm
as yourself.
utilizing here to say that the man.
Then you can care for all things. 14. Look, and it can't be seen. Listen, and it can't be heard. Reach, and it can't be grasped. Above, it isn't bright. Below, it isn't dark. Seamless, unnameable, it returns to the realm of nothing. Form that includes all forms. Image without an image. Subtle, beyond all conception. Approach it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You can't know it, but you can be it, at ease in your own life. Just realize where you come from. This is the essence of wisdom. 15. The ancient masters were profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. All we can describe is their appearance. They were careful as someone crossing an iced-over stream, alert as a warrior in enemy territory, courteous as a guest, fluid as melting ice, shapeable as a block of wood, receptive as a valley, clear as a glass of water. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? The master doesn't seek fulfillment. Not seeking, not expecting. She is present and can welcome all things. 16. Empty your mind of all thoughts. Let your heart be at peace. Watch the turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. Each separate being in the universe returns to the common source. Returning to the source is serenity. If you don't realize the source, you stumble in confusion and sorrow. When you realize where you come from, you naturally become tolerant, disinterested, amused, kind-hearted as a grandmother, dignified as a king. Immersed in the wonder of the Tao, you can deal with whatever life brings you. And when death comes, you are ready. 17. When the master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. Next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised. If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, "Amazing, we did it, all by ourselves." 18. When the great Tao is forgotten, goodness and piety appear. When the body's intelligence declines, cleverness and knowledge step forth. When there is no peace in the family, filial piety begins. When the country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. 19. Throw away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier. Throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit, and there won't be any thieves. If these three aren't enough, just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. 20. Stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? Must you value what others value? Avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous. Other people are excited, as though they were at a parade. I alone don't care. I alone am expressionless, like an infant before it can smile. Other people have what they need. I alone possess nothing. I alone drift about, like someone without a home. I am like an idiot, my mind is so empty. Other people are bright. I alone am dark. Other people are sharp. I alone am dull. Other people have a purpose. I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. I am different from ordinary people. I drink from the great mother's breasts. 21. The master keeps her mind always at one with the Tao. That is what gives her her radiance. The Tao is ungraspable. How can her mind be at one with it? Because she doesn't cling to ideas. The Tao is dark and unfathomable. How can it make her radiant? Because she lets it. Since before time and space were, the Tao is. It is beyond is and is not. How do I know this is true? I look inside myself and see. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked.
OnForCongress.com.
If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The Master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient masters said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. 23. Express yourself completely, then keep quiet. Be like the forces of nature. When it blows, there is only wind. When it rains, there is only rain. When the clouds pass, the sun shines through. If you open yourself to the Tao, you are at one with the Tao, and you can embody it completely. If you open yourself to insight, you are at one with insight, and you can use it completely. If you open yourself to loss, you are at one with loss, and you can accept it completely. Open yourself to the Tao, then trust your natural responses, and everything will fall into place. 24. He who stands on tiptoe doesn't stand firm. He who rushes ahead doesn't go far. tries to shine dims his own light. He who defines himself can't know who he really is. He who has power over others can't empower himself. He who clings to his work will create nothing that endures. If you want to accord with the Tao, just do your job, then let go. 25. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it the Tao. It flows through all things, inside and outside, and returns to the origin of all things. The Tao is great. The universe is great. Earth is great. Man is great. These are the four great powers. Man follows the earth. Earth follows the universe. The universe follows the Tao. The Tao follows only itself. 26. The heavy is the root of the light. The unmoved is the source of all movement. Thus the master travels all day without leaving home. However splendid the views, she stays serenely in herself. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. If you let restlessness move you, you lose touch with who you are. 27. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent upon arriving. A good artist lets his intuition lead him wherever it wants. A good scientist has freed himself of concepts and keeps his mind open to what is. Thus the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He's ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. 28. Know the male, yet keep to the female. Receive the world in your arms. If you receive the world, the Tao will never leave you, and you will be like a little child. Know the white, yet keep to the black. Be a pattern for the world. If you are a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you, and there will be nothing you can't do. Know the personal, yet keep to the impersonal. Accept the world as it is. If you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you, and you will return to your primal self. The world is formed like utensils from a block of wood. The master knows the utensils, yet keeps to the block. Thus she can use all things. 29. Do you want to improve the world? I don't think it can be done. The world is sacred. It can't be improved. If you tamper with it, you'll ruin it. If you treat it like an object, you'll lose it. There is a time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, a time for being at rest, a time for being vigorous, a time for being exhausted, a time for being safe, a time for being in danger. The master sees things as they are, without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way, and resides at the center of the circle. 30. Whoever relies on the Tao in governing men doesn't try to force issues or defeat enemies by force of arms. For every force, there is a counterforce. Violence, even well-intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. The master does his job and then stops. He understands that the universe is forever out of control, and that trying to dominate events goes against the current of the Tao. Because he believes in himself, he doesn't try to convince others. Because he is content with himself, he doesn't need others' approval. Because he accepts himself, the whole world accepts him. 31. Weapons are the tools of violence. All decent men detest them. Weapons are the tools of fear. A decent man will avoid them, except in the direst necessity, and if compelled, will use them only with the utmost restraint. Peace is his highest value. If the peace has been shattered, how can he be content? His enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. He doesn't wish them personal harm, nor does he rejoice in victory. How could he rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of men? He enters a battle gravely, with sorrow, and with great compassion, as if he were attending a funeral. 32. The Tao can't be perceived. Smaller than an electron, it contains uncountable galaxies. If powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. The world would become a paradise. All people would be at peace, and the law would be written in their hearts. When you have names and forms, know that they are provisional. When you have institutions, know where their functions should end. Knowing when to stop, you can avoid any danger. All things end in the Tao, as rivers flow into the sea. 33. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. If you stay in the center and embrace death with your whole heart, you will endure forever. 34. The great Tao flows everywhere. All things are born from it, yet it doesn't create them. It pours itself into its work, yet it makes no claim. It nourishes infinite worlds, yet it doesn't hold on to them. Since it is merged with all things and hidden in their hearts, it can be called humble. Since all things vanish into it, and it alone endures, it can be called great. It isn't aware of its greatness. Thus, it is truly great. 35. She who is centered in the Tao can go where she wishes without danger. She perceives the universal harmony, even amid great pain, because she has found peace in her heart. Music or the smell of good cooking may make people stop and enjoy, but words that point to the Tao seem monotonous and without flavor. When you look for it, there is nothing to see. When you listen for it,
Candidate Congressman
there's
John
nothing to hear.
Kitover reading poetry to the journalist in 6th Street District.
When you use it, it is inexhaustible. 36. If you want to shrink something, you must first allow it to expand. If you want to get rid of something, you must first allow it to flourish. If you want to take something, you must first allow it to be given. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. Just show people the results. 37. The Tao never does anything, yet through it all things are done.
Free Wendy Williams.
If powerful men and women could center themselves in it, the whole world would be transformed by itself in its natural rhythms. People would be content with their simple, everyday
Free Wendy
lives
Williams.
in harmony and free of desire. When there is no desire,
Where are you staying at the
all things are at peace.
When you're here, put this here.
38. The master doesn't try to be powerful.
When are you in Chicago? So I got
Thus,
this here.
he is truly powerful. The ordinary man keeps reaching for power. Thus, he never has enough. The master does nothing, yet he leaves nothing undone. The ordinary man is always doing things, yet many more are left to be done. The kind man does something, yet something remains undone. The just man does something, and leaves many things to be done. The moral man does something, and when no one responds, he rolls up his sleeves and uses force. When the Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is morality. When morality is lost, there is ritual.
Like in Syria, which
Ritual is the husk of true faith,
post
the
1991,
beginning of chaos.
taking off of a big particular personality.
Therefore, the master concerns himself with the depths and not the surface, with the fruit and not the flower. He has no will of his own.
True foundational
Can't the future just wait?
He dwells in reality and lets all illusions go.
Slave in a special manner.
39.
Since that is
In harmony with the Tao, the sky is clear and spacious. The earth is solid and full. All creatures flourish together. content with the way they are, endlessly repeating themselves, endlessly renewed. When man interferes with the Tao, the sky becomes filthy, the earth becomes depleted, the equilibrium crumbles, creatures become extinct. The master views the parts with compassion because he understands the whole. His constant practice is humility. He doesn't glitter like a jewel, but lets himself be shaped by the Tao, as rugged and common as a stone. 40. Return is the movement of the Tao. Yielding is the way of the Tao. All things are born of being. Being is born of non-being. When a superior man hears of the Tao, he immediately begins to improve. When an average man hears of the Tao, he half believes it, half doubts it. When a foolish man hears of the Tao, he laughs out loud. If he didn't laugh, he wouldn't be the Tao. Thus it is said, the path into the light seems dark. The path forward seems to go back. The direct path seems long. True power seems weak. True purity seems tarnished. True steadfastness seems changeable. True clarity seems obscure. The greatest art seems unsophisticated. The greatest love seems indifferent. The greatest wisdom seems childish. The Tao is nowhere to be found, yet it nourishes and completes all things. 42. The Tao gives birth to one. One gives birth to two. Two gives birth to three. Three gives birth to all things. All things have their backs to the female and stand facing the male. When male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. Ordinary men hate solitude, but the master makes use of it, embracing his aloneness, realizing he is one with the whole universe. 43. The gentlest thing in the world overcomes the hardest thing in the world. That which has no substance enters where there is no space. This shows the value of non-action. Teaching without words, performing without actions. That is the master's way. 44. Fame or integrity? Which is more important? Money or happiness? Which is more valuable? Success or failure? Which is more destructive? If you look to others for fulfillment, you will never truly be fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never be happy with yourself. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. 45. True perfection seems imperfect, yet it is perfectly itself. True fullness seems empty, yet it is fully present. True straightness seems crooked. True wisdom seems foolish. True art seems artless. The master allows things to happen. She shapes events as they come. She steps out of the way and lets the Tao speak for itself. 46. When a country is in harmony with the Tao, the factories make trucks and tractors. When a country goes counter to the Tao, warheads are stockpiled outside the cities. There is no greater illusion than fear, no greater wrong than preparing to defend yourself, no greater misfortune than having an enemy. Whoever can see through all fear will always be safe. 47. Without opening your door, you can open your heart to the world. Without looking out your window, you can see the essence of the Tao. The more you know, the less you understand. The master arrives without leaving, sees the light without looking, achieves without doing a thing. 48. In the pursuit of knowledge, every day something is added. In the practice of the Tao, every day something is dropped. Less and less do you need to force things, until finally you arrive at non-action. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. True mastery can be gained by letting things go their own way. It can't be gained by interfering. 49. The master has no mind of her own. She works with the mind of the people. She is good to people who are good. She's also good to people who aren't good. This is true goodness. She trusts people who are trustworthy. She also trusts people who aren't trustworthy. This is true trust. The master's mind is like space. People don't understand her. They look to her and wait. She treats them like her own children. 50. The master gives himself up to whatever the moment brings. He knows that he is going to die, and he has nothing left to hold on to. No illusions in his mind. No resistances in his body. He doesn't think about his actions. They flow from the core of his being. He holds nothing back from life. Therefore, he is ready for death, as a man is ready for sleep after a good day's work. 51. Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. It springs into existence, unconscious, perfect, free, takes on a physical body, lets circumstances complete it. That is why every being spontaneously honors the Tao. The Tao gives birth to all beings, nourishes them, maintains them, cares for them, comforts them, protects them, takes them back to itself, creating without possessing, acting without expecting, guiding without interfering. That is why love of the Tao is in the very nature of things. 52. In the beginning was the Tao. All things issue from it. All things return to it. To find the origin, trace back the manifestations. When you recognize the children and find the mother, you will be free of sorrow. If you close your mind in judgments and traffic with desires, your heart will be troubled. If you keep your mind from judging and aren't led by the senses, your heart will find peace. Seeing into darkness is clarity. Knowing how to yield is strength. Use your own light and return to the source of light. This is called practicing eternity. 53. The great way is easy, yet people prefer the side paths. Be aware when things are out of balance. Stay centered within the Tao. When rich speculators prosper, while farmers lose their land, When government officials spend money on weapons instead of cures, when the upper class is extravagant and irresponsible, while the poor have nowhere to turn, all this is robbery and chaos. It is not in keeping with the Tao. 54. Whoever is planted in the Tao will not be rooted up. Whoever embraces the Tao will not slip away. Her name will be held in honor from generation to generation. Let the Tao be present in your life, and you will become genuine. Let it be present in your family, and your family will flourish. Let it be present in your country, and your country will be an example to all countries in the world. Let it be present in the universe, and the universe will sing. How do I know this is true? By looking inside myself. 55. He who is in harmony with the Tao is like a newborn child. Its bones are soft, its muscles are weak, but its grip is powerful. It doesn't know about the union of male and female, yet its penis can stand erect. So intense is its vital power. It can scream its head off all day, yet it never becomes hoarse. So complete is its harmony. The Master's power is like this. He lets all things come and go effortlessly, without desire. He never expects results. Thus he is never disappointed. He is never disappointed. Thus his spirit never grows old. 56. Those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know. Close your mouth. Block off your senses. Blunt your sharpness. Untie your knots. Soften your glare. Settle your dust. This is the primal identity. Be like the Tao. It can't be approached or withdrawn from, benefited or harmed, honored or brought into disgrace. It gives itself up continually. That is why it endures. 57. If you want to be a great leader, you must learn to follow the Tao. Stop trying to control. Let go of fixed plans and concepts, and the world will govern itself. The more prohibitions you have, the less virtuous people will be. The more weapons you have, the less secure people will be. the more subsidies you have, the less self-reliant people will be. Therefore, the Master says, I let go of the law, and people become honest. I let go of economics, and people become prosperous. I let go of religion, and people become serene. I let go of all desire for the common good, and the good becomes common as grass. 58. If a country is governed with tolerance, the people are comfortable and honest. If a country is governed with repression, the people are depressed and crafty. When the will to power is in charge, the higher the ideals, the lower the results. Try to make people happy, and you lay the groundwork for misery. Try to make people moral, and you lay the groundwork for vice. Thus the Master is content to serve as an example and not to impose her will. She is pointed, but doesn't pierce. Straightforward, but supple. Radiant, but easy on the eyes. 59. For governing a country well, there is nothing better than moderation. The mark of a moderate man is freedom from his own ideas. Tolerant like the sky, all-pervading like sunlight, firm like a mountain, supple like a tree in the wind. He has no destination in view, and makes use of anything life happens to bring his way. Nothing is impossible for him. Because he has let go, he can care for the people's welfare, as a mother cares for her child. 60. Governing a large country is like frying a small fish. You spoil it with too much poking. Center your country in the Tao, and evil will have no power. Not that it isn't there, but you'll be able to step out of its way. Give evil nothing to oppose, and it will disappear by itself. 61. When a country obtains great power, it becomes like the sea. All streams run downward into it. The more powerful it grows, the greater the need for humility. Humility means trusting the Tao, thus never needing to be defensive. A great nation is like a great man. When he makes a mistake, he realizes it. Having realized it, he admits it. Having admitted it, he corrects it. He considers those who point out his faults as his most benevolent teachers. He thinks of his enemy as the shadow that he himself casts. If a nation is centered in the Tao, if it nourishes its own people and doesn't meddle in the affairs of others, it will be a light to all nations in the world. 62. The Tao is the center of the universe, the good man's treasure, the bad man's refuge. Honors can be bought with fine words. Respect can be won with good deeds. But the Tao is beyond all value, and no one can achieve it. Thus, when a new leader is chosen, don't offer to help him with your wealth or your expertise. Offer instead to teach him about the Tao. Why did the ancient masters esteem the Tao? Because being one with the Tao, when you seek, you find. And when you make a mistake, you are forgiven. That is why everybody loves it. 63. Act without doing. Work without effort. Think of the small as large, and the few as many. Confront the difficult while it is still easy. Accomplish the great task by a series of small acts. The master never reaches for the great. Thus she achieves greatness. When she runs into a difficulty, she stops and gives herself to it. She doesn't cling to her own comfort. Thus, problems are no problem for her. 64. What is rooted is easy to nourish. What is recent is easy to correct. What is brittle is easy to break. What is small is easy to scatter. Prevent trouble before it arises. Put things in order before they exist. A giant pine tree grows from a tiny sprout. The journey of 1,000 miles starts from beneath your feet. Rushing into action, you fail. Trying to grasp things, you lose them. Forcing a project to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. He remains as calm at the end as at the beginning. He has nothing, thus has nothing to lose. What he desires is non-desire. What he learns is to unlearn. He simply reminds people of who they have always been. He cares about nothing but the Tao. Thus, he can care for all things. 65. The ancient masters didn't try to educate the people, but kindly taught them to not know. When they think that they know the answers, people are difficult to guide. When they know that they don't know, people can find their own way. If you want to learn how to govern, avoid being clever or rich. The simplest pattern is the clearest. Content with an ordinary life, you can show all people the way back to their own true nature. All streams flow to the sea because it is lower than they are. Humility gives it its power. If you want to govern the people, you must place yourself below them. If you want to lead the people, you must learn how to follow them. The master is above the people, and no one feels oppressed. She goes ahead of the people, and no one feels manipulated. The whole world is grateful to her, because she competes with no one. No one can compete with her. 67. Some say that my teaching is nonsense. Others call it lofty, but impractical. But to those who have looked inside themselves, this nonsense makes perfect sense. And to those who put it into practice, this loftiness has roots that go deep. I have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. Simple in actions and in thoughts, you return to the source of being. Patient with both friends and enemies, you accord with the way things are. Compassionate toward yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. 68. The best athlete wants his opponent at his best. The best general enters the mind of his enemy. The best businessman serves the communal good. The best leader follows the will of the people. All of them embody the virtue of non-competition. Not that they don't love to compete, but they do it in the spirit of play. In this, they are like children, and in harmony with the Tao. 69. The generals have a saying: rather than make the first move, it is better to wait and see. Rather than advance an inch, it is better to retreat a yard. This is called going forward without advancing, pushing back without using weapons. There's no greater misfortune than underestimating your enemy. Underestimating your enemy means thinking that he is evil. Thus, you destroy your three treasures and become an enemy yourself. When two great forces oppose each other, the victory will go to the one that knows how to yield. 70. My teachings are easy to understand and easy to put into practice. Your intellect will never grasp them, and if you try to practice them, you'll fail. My teachings are older than the world. How can you grasp their meaning? If you want to know me, look inside your heart. 71. Not knowing is true knowledge. Presuming to know is a disease. First realize that you are sick. Then you can move toward health. The master is her own physician. She has healed herself of all knowing. Thus, she is truly whole. 72. When they lose their sense of awe, people turn to religion. When they no longer trust themselves, they begin to depend upon authority. Therefore, the master steps back so that people won't be confused. He teaches without a teaching, so that people will have nothing to learn. 73.
Oh, hey, 10 live viewers. Hit that like button. $100 donated. $1 million. We're rich, bitch. We're fucking rich. Like, ah,
Without speaking a word.
phone popping up. Popping.
Without being summoned. Accomplishes without a plan. Its end covers the whole universe. And meshes are wide.
That tripod sucks.
It doesn't let a thing slip through. 74. If you realize that all things change, there's nothing you will try to hold on to. If you aren't afraid of dying, there's nothing you can't achieve. Trying to control the future is like trying to take the master carpenter's place. When you handle the master carpenter's tools, chances are that you'll cut your hand. 75. When taxes are too high, people go hungry. When the government is too intrusive, people lose their spirit. Act for the people's benefit. Trust them. Leave them alone. 76. Men are born soft and supple. Dead, they are stiff and hard. Plants are born tender and pliant. Dead, they are brittle and dry. Thus, whoever is stiff and inflexible is a disciple of death. Whoever is soft and yielding is a disciple of life. The hard and stiff will be broken. The soft and supple will prevail. 77. As it acts in the world, the Tao is like the bending of a bow. The top is bent downward. The bottom is bent up. It adjusts excess and deficiency so that there is perfect balance. It takes from what is too much and gives to what isn't enough. Those who try to control, who use force to protect their power, go against the direction of the Tao. They take from those who don't have enough and give to those who have far too much. The master can keep giving because there is no end to her wealth. She acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and doesn't think that she is better than anyone else. 78. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it. The soft overcomes the hard. The gentle overcomes the rigid. Everyone knows this is true, but few can put it into practice. Therefore, the master remains serene in the midst of sorrow. Evil cannot enter his heart because he has given up helping. He is people's greatest help. True words seem paradoxical. 79. Failure is an opportunity. If you blame someone else, there is no end to the blame. Therefore, the master fulfills her own obligations and corrects her own mistakes. She does what she needs to do and demands nothing of others. 80. If a country is governed wisely, its inhabitants will be content. They enjoy the labor of their hands and don't waste time inventing labor-saving machines. Since they dearly love their homes, they aren't interested in travel. There may be a few wagons and boats, but these don't go anywhere. There may be an arsenal of weapons, but nobody ever uses them. People enjoy their food, take pleasure in being with their families, spend weekends working in their gardens, delight in the doings of the neighborhood. And even though the next country is so close that people can hear its roosters crowing and its dogs barking. They are content to die of old age without ever having gone to see it. 81. True words aren't eloquent. Eloquent words aren't true. Wise men don't need to prove their point. Men who need to prove their point aren't wise. The master has no possessions. The more he does for others, the happier he is. The more he gives to others, the wealthier he is. The Tao nourishes by not forcing, by not dominating. The master leads. Tao Te Ching can be translated as the book of the imminence of the way, or the book of the way and of how it manifests itself in the world, or simply the book of the way. Since it is already well known by its Chinese title, I have let that stand. About Lao Tzu, its author, there's practically nothing to be said. He may have been an older contemporary of Confucius, 551 to 479 BCE, and may have held the position of archive keeper in one of the petty kingdoms of the time. But all the information that has come down to us is highly suspect. Even the meaning of his name is uncertain. The most likely interpretations, the old master, or more picturesquely, the old boy. Like an Iroquois woodsman, he left no traces. All he left us is his book, the classic manual on the art of living, written in a style of gem-like lucidity, radiant with humor and grace, and large-heartedness and deep wisdom, one of the wonders of the world. People usually think of Lao Tzu as a hermit, a dropout from society, dwelling serenely in some mountain hut, unvisited except perhaps by the occasional traveler arriving from a 60s joke to ask, what is the meaning of life? But it's clear from his teachings that he deeply cared about society, if society means the welfare of one's fellow human beings. His book is, among other things, a treatise on the art of government, whether of a country or of a child. The misperception may arise from his insistence on wei wu wei, literally, doing, not doing, which has been seen as passivity. Nothing could be further from the truth. A good athlete can enter a state of body awareness in which the right stroke or the right movement happens by itself, effortlessly, without any interference of the conscious will. This is a paradigm for non-action, the purest and most effective form of action. The game plays the game. The poem writes the poem. We can't tell the dancer from the dance. Less and less do you need to force things, until finally you arrive at non-action. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. Nothing is done because the doer has wholeheartedly vanished into the deed. The fuel has been completely transformed into flame. This nothing is in fact everything. It happens when we trust the intelligence of the universe in the same way that an athlete or a dancer trusts the superior intelligence of the body. Hence Lao Tzu's emphasis on softness. Softness means the opposite of rigidity, and is synonymous with suppleness, adaptability, endurance. Anyone who has seen a Tai Chi or Aikido master doing not doing will know how powerful this softness is. Lao Tzu's central figure is a man or woman whose life is in perfect harmony with the way things are. This is not an idea, it is a reality. I have seen it. The master has mastered nature, not in the sense of conquering it, but of becoming it. In surrendering to the Tao, In giving up all concepts, judgments, and desires, her mind has grown naturally compassionate. She finds, deep in her own experience, the central truths of the art of living, which are paradoxical only on the surface, that the more truly solitary we are, the more compassionate we can be. The more we let go of what we love, the more present our love becomes. The clearer our insight into what is beyond good and evil, the more we can embody the good. Until finally she is able to say, in all humility, I am the Tao, the truth, the life. The teaching of the Tao Te Ching is moral in the deepest sense. Unencumbered by any concept of sin, the master doesn't see evil as a force to resist, but simply as an opaqueness, a state of self-absorption, which is in disharmony with the universal process, so that, as with a dirty window, the light can't shine through. This freedom from moral categories allows him his great compassion for the wicked and the selfish. Thus, the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. The listener will notice that in the many passages where Lao Tzu describes the master, I've used the pronoun she at least as often as he. The Chinese language doesn't make this kind of distinction. In English, we have to choose. But since we are all potentially the master, since the master is essentially us, I felt it would be untrue to present a male archetype, as other versions have ironically done. Ironically, because of all the great world religions, the teaching of Lao Tzu is by far the most female. Of course, you should feel free throughout the recording to substitute he for she, or vice versa. As to method, I worked from Paul Karas's literal version, which provides English equivalents, often very quaint ones, alongside each of the Chinese ideograms. I also consulted dozens of translations into English, German, and French. But the most essential preparation for my work was a 14 years long course of Zen training, which brought me face to face with Lao Tzu and his true disciples and heirs, the early Chinese Zen masters. With great poetry, the freest translation is sometimes the most faithful. We must try its effect as an English poem, Dr. Johnson said. That is the way to judge of the merit of a translation. I have often been fairly literal, or as literal as one can be with such a subtle, kaleidoscopic book as the Tao Te Ching. But I have also paraphrased, expanded, contracted, interpreted, worked with the text, played with it, until it became embodied in a language that felt genuine to me. If I haven't always translated Lao Tzu's words, my intention has always been to translate his mind. Describing the indescribable, teaching the unteachable, pointing the way to the way. What does Lao Tzu think he is doing here? It can't be done. No way. Hence, Po Chu-yi, poet and stand-up comedian, wrote, "He who talks doesn't know, he who knows doesn't talk." That is what Lao Tzu told us in a book of 5,000 words. If he was the one who knew, how could he have been such a blabbermouth? That's the problem with spiritual teachers. They have to be blabbermouths. But their words are, in the traditional Buddhist metaphor, fingers pointing at the moon. If you watch the finger, you can't see the moon. How meticulous the great masters had to be. A monk asked Matsu, "Why do you teach mind is Buddha?" Matsu said, "To stop a baby from crying." The monk said, "When the crying has stopped, what then?" Matsu said, "Then I teach, not mind, not Buddha. The monk said, how about someone who isn't attached to either? Matsu said, I would tell him, not beings. The monk said, and what if you met a man unattached to all things? What would you tell him? Matsu said, I would just let him experience the great Tao. In fact, the truth is right before our eyes, right under our noses. So simple that every child understands it. And yet, as Bankei said, the farther you enter into it, the deeper it is. Where is the way to the way? What a question. Still, for complicated minds, drastic measures are needed. Lao Tzu's book was written as a response out of grandmotherly kindness. According to the oldest biography, Lao Tzu lived for a long time in the country of Chu, but seeing its decline, he departed. When he reached the frontier, the guard said, since you are going away, sir, could you write a book to teach me the art of living? Thereupon, Lao Tzu wrote his book about the Tao and departed. This is legend, but it is an accurate description of the way in which true teaching happens. He who knows doesn't talk, but words are no hindrance for him. He uses them as he would use gardening tools. When someone asks, he answers. Tao Te Ching. 1. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness. The gateway to all understanding. 2. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. 3. If you overesteem great men, people become powerless. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. The master leads by emptying people's minds and filling their cores, by weakening their ambition and toughening their resolve. He helps people lose everything they know, everything they desire, and creates confusion in those who think that they know. Practice not doing, and everything will fall into place. 4. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. 5. The Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty, yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center.